The race is on already to find the voters who will decide the crucial midterm elections 350 days from now. Now, campaigns have typically focused on the elusive undecideds, often as small as 3% of the electorate, maybe less. But the Democratic grassroots group Swing Left is now making a $12 million bet that the key to victory may be even tougher to identify voters who are not usually found on registration lists and consumer files. They're already canvassing battleground states, including Pennsylvania.
Some of our traditional canvassing methods just have not been effective. You know, people are not always on the list. Sometimes people have moved. Sometimes people have, just haven't registered yet.
The first thing is I don't make any assumptions. So if somebody says I don't vote, I ask them why. If they say, well, I don't feel that voting makes a difference, then it's a conversation of what do you care about? When was the last time you voted? What made you stop voting?
Hopefully we can see that we're not as far apart as we think we are.
With me here, Yasmin Radjy, who is executive director of Swing Left. So, Yasmin, what are you looking for? What do you think hasn't been effective in the past, and how will this effort, Ground Truth, help fix it?
Thanks so much for having me, Chris. The folks that you saw just now were with me this past weekend in one of the most competitive swing districts in the country. And to state the obvious, it is over a year before the midterms. And the reason for that is because all of us at Swing Left, our community of 1 million members, know that no progress is possible without power. And to state, again, the obvious, in a moment of such consequences, when the stakes feel so high, we also know that power begins with winning back a Democratic majority in the House. And after the great news that we all had with Democratic wins across the country just a couple weeks ago, we might feel like winning back the House is a given. But what we want to be really clear about is that those great wins still don't erase a real trust deficit that Democrats have across the country. And so our perspective at Swing Left is that Democrats need to take some really big swings. And for us, that means that Democrats need to fundamentally transform how we talk to voters. And that starts with the most important element of rebuilding trust, which is listening. And so as you heard from those volunteers, that is exactly why we launched Ground Truth, which is our solution to problems that we've been kind of ignoring year after year and getting worse and worse, which is we start talking to voters too late. We, as you said in your framing, we skip talking to far too many people. We rely on outdated technology. And so we've got to do the work of starting earlier, talking to everybody. That means knocking every door and building new technology that helps us do a better job of really re-anchoring in person-to-person conversations. And our early pilot results, that canvas was the last one of 25 canvases all across the country. The results have been really promising, and we're excited to now be expanding Ground Truth nationwide next year because, as you all know, Chris, is covering this work for years, a blue wave doesn't happen on its own. We have got to help build that wave together.
I found some of the early results fascinating. Your data shows that 2/3 of people who actually answered their doors held what the folks who were talking to them felt were meaningful 10 to 15-minute conversations. Yes. And in more than half of those conversations, people expressed frustration and disillusionment with both political parties. But I thought this guy was particularly interesting. Here's one voter after he met with your folks from Swing Left.
We were just talking about kind of the state of the country a little bit. They were asking me who I voted for. You know, I kind of just explained that I didn't really understand the Democrat perspective because my stereotype of the Democrat Party, you know, I explained is kind of open borders, not really pro-law enforcement. I think Trump is trying to, is doing the best he can. From my perspective, Biden really opened up Pandora's box with regard to inflation. Trump's doing what he can.
So when you hear an interview like that, what can you take away from it that will be useful as some of these folks start running intense campaigns?
That's right. I mean, I think voters like the gentleman that you were talking to, or that your colleague was talking to right there, are maybe not going to agree with us on a whole lot. But what we found as a striking blind spot is that 1 in 4 in strong Republican voters, not folks who sort of switch parties election to election, are expressing concern about Trump or an openness to Democrats. And what we hear that you touched on a little bit is across Republicans, independents, and Democrats, including the Democrats who stayed on the couch in the last few election cycles. We are hearing a lot of anti-Trump sentiment, and we are hearing something that you heard a peek at there, which is they don't just feel anti-Trump. They want to know, what do Democrats stand for clearly, concisely, beyond being anti-Trump? And for me, the biggest surprise in the results that we had, we of course knew most conversations would anchor on affordability. That was our pretty strong hypothesis for all the reasons you well know. But affordability was actually not the top issue. The top issue that we heard was a sentiment shared by every person that we talked to pretty much, which is that the system is broken and they don't trust either party to work for them or to care about them. And so what you heard at the beginning, again, from a voter who's not with us on all the issues, is it feels really countercultural for someone to knock on their door and be open, be non-judgmental, be focused on listening. And we're under no illusions that we're going to magically persuade everybody in our incredibly polarized country. But we know that winning starts with listening. Persuasion requires us to make more fertile ground so that folks are more open to information, to harder persuasion conversations. And none of that is possible if we start talking to voters just a couple weeks before the election. We've got to spend the next year doing that hard work. And so what I would say is, for anybody listening to this program who feels overwhelmed by the challenges before us, we need their help. We've got to go talk to every voter that we can. So I hope they'll go to swingleft.org/groundtruth and come knock on doors with us, talk to voters, listen, and you'll be surprised at just how open folks are to real human engagement. And that's going to help us win the midterms.
Yasmin, always good to have you on the program. It's fascinating stuff. Thank you.